Casablanca is one of the most famous movies of all time, just celebrated its 80th anniversary not too long ago, and a lot of people have claimed this to be the greatest movie of all time, their favorite movie of all time. This is certainly one of the most inspirational movies of all time, one of the most influential romances of all time. It's also showcasing one of the most iconic movie romances ever. Humphrey Bogart stars in this as Rick. He owns a nightclub in Casablanca, and he discovers his old flame Ilsa, played by Ingrid Bergman, is in town with her husband, Victor Laszlo. Laszlo, played here by Henreid, is a famed rebel. And with Nazis on his tail, Ilsa knows Rick can help them escape the country. Now, this came out in the early 40s. You gotta remember that America was in the thick of World War II. The entire globe was in the thick of this thing. And a lot of people, I feel like, went to the movies way back in the day to escape. A lot of the same reasons why we go to the movies to escape these days. But in this case, there's a fucking war going on. Like, they need all the happiness that they can get when they look at that silver screen and that moving picture. So to have a movie like this be so grounded in reality, to have a movie like this about morality versus idealism, a very deep narrative, very thematically rich. To have a movie where the romance doesn't end up with Rick and Ilsa getting together in the end. Spoiler alert, I know, the movie's over 80 years old. But point being, I feel like a lot of people went to the movie theaters and were used to the happy ending. Back in the early 40s, this was a very ballsy choice. And I think Casablanca is beautifully directed. Michael Curtiz did wonders with this thing. The cinematography by Arthur Edison is second to none. The usage of lighting and just showing the inner conflict of these characters just in the symbolism of simple lighting. Like, it is very easy to look at this movie and sit through it, and then once the ending comes around, you can very easily see why people put this as their number one of all time. Because even if you take World War II out of the equation and the fact that this is a gigantic allegory going on here, yeah, this is still pretty timeless these days. And Rick's whole inner conflict of morality versus idealism, doing the right thing for his own good, how he feels life should be, happiness with Ilsa, or does he do things for the good of the entire world? Like, that inner struggle is freaking brilliant. And Humphrey Bogart is absolutely genius in this. Ingrid Bergman is too. This is lovely chemistry that the two share. And my goodness, the flashback sequences, yeah, they can feel a bit overly whimsical in some cases. But you cannot deny that these are absolutely legendary scenes, and super quotable scenes for that matter. Here's looking at you, kid. Like, he says that a bunch of times, doesn't he? And again, I feel like the whole symbolism of Casablanca, this is a community that is very uncertain. This is a gigantic melting pot of people who are coming together. The movie itself feels pretty claustrophobic as it's set in this little community here. And there's some cases where Casablanca can actually sort of feel like a thriller in some ways. Now, I know that sounds pretty preposterous, but the fact that these people are deciding whether or not to go to war and how they feel about war and how they approach war, like, that can give you a pretty uneasy feeling. And it is just so fascinating to watch this entire narrative unfold. And you can just look at the feel of this movie and the grandiose measures of the score, and you can just feel the old-timey style, and it almost feels like a time capsule. It's really interesting to watch this movie nowadays and just think how far film has come. But Casablanca is a very important piece of movie history. Not just because it gives you one of the best romances of all time, I think it also hands you probably the ballsiest ending in movie history. When Rick basically decides not to go with Ilsa for the sake of morality, doing the right thing for the good of the entire world and not just himself. It's a very heartbreaking finale, but you really respect this character for doing the things that he's doing. And you understand why he is the way he is, because when you first meet Rick, he's an absolute cynic. Like, he doesn't give a damn about any of these other people around him. But then when Ilsa returns into his life, boom, it's like the sunshine's been brought right back to him. His life suddenly has new meaning. And Bogart's 180 there in that moment just, so freaking brilliant. Guys, if you're a movie lover like me, if you're someone who is aspiring to go into the movie industry, if you're someone who's taking film courses in college, Casablanca has to be on the essential viewing list for any film lover. The iconic status of the romance is undeniable. Bergman and Bogart's chemistry is unfreaking deniable. It was a very courageous effort for this movie to come out when it did, when basically the entire freaking world was at odds with one another and killing each other. Like, it always boggles my mind that this movie came out when it did. Absolutely crazy to think that this came out like 2 or 3 years before World War II even ended. It is a must-own in your collection, a must-watch if you're a movie lover, if you want to educate yourself on the history of movies. Casablanca is where it's at. I'm going to give Casablanca its well-deserved A+. Well-deserved Best Picture win back in the early 40s when the Oscars were still kind of figuring out what they were. Let me know what you think of Casablanca down in the comments section below, and let me know what your list of essential viewing for any movie lover is, all down there. Let's go ahead and share our lists. Let's go ahead and recommend these classic movies to each other. And I'm really looking forward to sharing more reviews of classic movies with you guys over here on the regular, in addition to discussing all new things in the cinema world today. So do consider joining the family, become a subscriber, and tap on that thumbs up as well. Really helps spread the love and helps continue to grow this community even bigger than it already is. It's a great community of film lovers over here, and y'all are invited to the party. Guys, y'all are the best. Look forward to more reviews very soon. And with all that being said, Back Talk, commence.